Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, depending on the place and time that you're hearing us. Welcome back to another great episode of Away from the Keyboards, the show that says that communication is our number one priority. On today's episode, we talk with Adrian. He's the head of communication for Tailor Hub, an artificial intelligence lab and software boutique shop based in Madrid. I've always been interested in the roles that are not your standard software IT roles. And today I get the chance to talk with the head of communication and know more about what that role entails. If you enjoy our content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and all of that good stuff, and share it with a friend as well. So without any further babbling from my side, let's get on with it. Adrian, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rui, for having me here.
Since we last spoke, I've been curious how it all started for you. So in this show, we talk a lot with other people in tech, like the normal roles of the software engineers, engineering managers. But there are stories behind the tech that are often not that much discussed. And those are the people that make sure that the company still works and that everything is properly communicated. That's what led me to have this chat with you as a head of communication. So very curious, how did it all started for you? Like how did it started going from traditional media and then ending up in an IT role?
Yeah, so this will be a really long story, I would say, but I would say that it started as a kid because for as long as I can remember, I have always loved telling stories, like whether it would be like sharing a funny anecdote over like a friend's meeting or writing something that will make someone laugh. That instinct has always been with me, no? So as you could say, when I was young, with no, no, 14, 15 years old, I would always relate this or connect this with journalism. That was what first came into my mind when I would think about a job where that skill of mine or the writing skills or emotionally connecting skills will develop. That's what I did. I came from the Basque Country to Madrid to study in the Complutense University. And at the time, it felt like the right way, no, to turn that interest into a job career. But yeah, life has surprising ways to come over. And now I can say that I found out that maybe that creative side of writing or of connecting with other people using words, it's easier to develop, not that much in traditional media, but in more of the like corporate side, no, of the communications.
And what was the inspiration for you to do that change from traditional media into IT?
It wasn't like a sudden change, like someday I wake up thinking about this. When I ended my degree, I started working for several companies. Some of them were in the traditional media and others were more of the corporate side, no? So that's when I started to realize that the storytelling abilities were more valued in the corporate side, no? Because of course every brand wants to be different, every corporate wants to be sound like maybe a fresher or connect with a younger audience or a older audience. And in traditional media, it's all in Spanish. We would say encorsetado. I don't know the words. Like it's more constricted. And yeah, I was finding out that in this area, I had more creativity. I was more able to do other stuff and make more changes inside the companies, and that my impact will be more valued, no? So I went like slowly, like reaching for that side of the career. And in Peldaño Media Group, which was the traditional media company I worked for more than 5 years, I firstly started working more in the like traditional media writing, journalism, but I ended in charge of the global corporate communication of the group, no?
So before we go into our main topic, and I would like to know more about your role as head of communication, we have a recurrent segment in this show that is called Pass It Forward, where a guest gets the opportunity to pass forward a question to another guest. And this question comes from our previous guest, so Evan. He is a data comedian, and he asked, what is the best and the worst analogy you ever heard to describe Gen AI?
I would have to think. I don't know if it's an analogy, but I have been working in the university, like teaching to new students. And I always tell them that for me, like the emotion that I connect with Gen I, it's I feel more like brave to tackle challenges because I know that the starting point is not zero, no? So it will be something like the analogy will be something like that constant cheat code to not start from scratch. I think that that would say that would be like the best. Of course, you know, it's a lot. There is a lot of hype, and not a blank page is not an ended product. But yeah, I feel like that will be the best. And the worst, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, the worst will be that maybe it is the end of some companies. No, yeah. Forget McKinsey. You know, have ChatGPT 4.5. So I don't know.
That's a great one. I think I saw that one on LinkedIn very recently. Basically,
Yeah,
they're saying someone saying that all consultancy companies will die because now we have ChatGPT.
yeah, they are using it with a lot of different companies. I heard it with McKinsey. I heard it with Gartner, and I don't know. Maybe I think there is something in that marketing hook that works. Yeah,
Everyone wants the ChatGPT to kill everyone else's job. It's the end of software engineers. It's the end of data engineers. It's the end of the world. That's a really good take. Yeah, I think I also like the one that you mentioned about the best way. That's kind of how I see AI as well. It's more like a sounding board, something that you use just to get you started. Remove that initial inertia to start doing something.
yeah, the amount of things that I have started yeah, just trying because I knew at the time that I had ChatGPT. It's I would say it's crazy, and if I think if you tackle the projects with this mindset, like the minimum goal you're gonna achieve is that you are gonna learn a lot just by trying, no? Because a lot of time I think fear used to like paralyze a lot of stuff, and that's how I view it.
This episode of Away from the Keyboards is brought to you by you, the listener, and our Patreon supporters. Remember, if you get any value out of this show, like and subscribe. And if you want to support us even further, go to patreon.com/afks. That's patreon.com/afks. And now back to our scheduled programming. Cool. Moving to our main topic and talking about communications, how do you explain being a head of communications to someone that never heard about the role?
This will be a long, long chat because I don't know if other head of comms do the same thing as me. You know, my case is that Tailor Hub, the company I work with, they never had this role before hiring me. I'm like building it from scratch. All I can do is to share with you what like different areas I can tackle, no, or I feel important has to be tackled by a communications teams in a tech company, no. So the first area will be to control the narrative of the company, but maybe the social media part is like the most evident one or obvious one. But I think there are a lot of touch points. Firstly, internally, like with your colleagues, no, like how we express ourselves, how we conduct a daily meeting, which values are showed there, or how do we express ourselves in our internal newsletter. So to control the narrative and to play with words there, I think words are very, very powerful, and it can help us to connect better with our employees, with to connect better, of course, with clients and everyone, no? So like specifically the task will be like to have like a cohesion between all of the documents we are showing to the clients, but also like the internal like onboarding processes, etc., etc. So that will be like the first point, no? The second one will be, of course, like to be in charge of the founders' content, and not only in their LinkedIn profiles, but for example, which events or which partners do we want to connect with and why? No, I think that we can't just be waiting. We need to have like a set of values and a set of partnerships that we want to work with. For example, this interview we wouldn't be happening if in our first call we wouldn't like connect, no, in some way. So I think this analysis part of other companies, events, media partners, etc., it's an important thing to do, no?
Yeah, I'm curious, how do you think that your background in traditional media also help you on shaping how you are approaching this role?
Yeah, this for me this is like gold, no, because I was the guy in my previous job which was constantly receiving like a media partnership proposals, etc., etc. So I know what is boring or what is okay, this is not providing me value. I think that that is very important, no, because again we are talking about people, we are talking about emotions, we are talking about what pain point I am helping you to tackle, and to have been for that many years in the other side has made me be more like precise at the point like of creating those narratives. And of course this is not an exact science, this, but like I think my track record in traditional media has helped me a lot to know at least which roads we needed to avoid, no. Or as you know, Rui, one of the main things is a lot of companies spend like tons of thousands dollars in like paid media, and okay, but for example in our case in Tailor, that doesn't suit at all with our business model. And I don't care about like cold data. I don't care if you have if we have 100,000 views in Instagram. You know, we are a B2B company. We our business model is quite particular. We don't want to grow as crazy. So for that, our communication has to match with that. We can't be like shocked or attracted by big numbers. That I can do like a really shitty job but just have really good numbers in social media, no. So I have been over that in my previous job, so now I have of course more skills to avoid taking those paths.
Yeah, that's great because now you know what works and what doesn't, and you don't just get like mesmerized about those shiny metrics of, oh, you just gain 100,000 followers, but what does that really mean for the company, right?
Yeah, and I think in this AI world we are maybe now living, we are coming like in the com side, we are going back in time to a time where real conversations, like the I don't know, it has like the most basic stuff is gaining value, like especially in the this soft skills side of it. So to provide an example, 2 weeks ago we had this lunch with an audiovisual partner here in Spain. We didn't met before, so this was the first time, and we spent, I would say, like 2 hours and a half just speaking about projects, about our experiences. And the owner of this company has been in the industry for more than 3 decades. So when we ended the lunch, we were saying, okay, this actually like just the insights. We couldn't reach these insights in a Google Meet. You know, we had to be there, eating, hearing each other, having a talk. And just when we ended, we were saying, okay, this is the kind of meeting where a company that doesn't sell, I don't know, we don't sell chairs and just that. No, we are providing like complex services. So we need to find those spots that connects us like more in a direct way, the way that you could really understand our background, what we do, etc. No.
That's a great point you just touch upon there, and reminds me back at something that I used to see a lot when, well, pre-COVID, but also when I was working back in Portugal, was that a lot more meaningful conversations happen sometimes over a coffee or over a lunchtime than in a meeting that is scheduled and then everyone goes into a VC looking into Google Meets or Teams or whatever, because then you miss kind of the human element of it, and this way you get way more out of it, even if it's like, if someone would look like, oh, you spent 2.5 hours in a meeting, yeah, but we almost extracted 30 years of knowledge just from that conversation.
That's it. And that also happens like just with employees or colleagues, because maybe a developer isn't like this has happened to me like this week. Nico, our head of engineering, was like just over a coffee sharing me a quick story about a problem one of our engineers solved. And the way he was expressing it, he wasn't making like a huge thing of it. But I realized that that story, like that little story, was very useful to explain why, for example, Tailor doesn't work like maybe we don't put a freelancer in your project and just that. Okay, so you always gonna have like a connection point with a tech lead inside the company, even if a unique engineer is working in your team. You have a touch point, like constant touch point with our core group of knowledge. No, so he was saying me, Carlos, which was another engineer, solved this problem because he was able to like have a quick chat over a coffee with this colleague, and that colleague gave him an advice, a quick advice. So the next day, this problem was solved, and this was a problem that was making this big insurance company like the past 2 years they wouldn't have been able to solve it. So that just quick chat and exchange of knowledge made him to solve it in 8 hours. No, so I think of this big consultancy, like as you know, there is these big groups that have thousands of engineers. I think these kind of exchange are much more difficult because maybe 5 people in your whole company, but if you are 30 people in overall, yeah, that connection, I think it's crucial. No.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the advantages of having a smaller team or a smaller company where everyone is kind of more gelled up together. Which leads me to my follow up. What is modular? What is Tailor Hub? What are you guys trying to do in the IT market? So let's bring a bit more context into the company itself.
I think the most natural way to explain it is would be to first talk about Tailor, because as you know, and our audience will know now, Tailor is the IT and AI studio inside this bigger holding called Modular Studios. No, so Tailor's founder's story is quite particular because it is development company which was founded by a designer. So Simone, who's our CEO, started his career as a graphic designer, and he was like having these pain points working with development teams, and he was finding out that this was a very common pain point for like very good design teams who kind of feel that their designs were getting like kind of screwed or not respected by external development teams. No, so he was like dreaming of creating a small team that will not have this issue, no, like a technology team that will respect and work well with non-dev teams. So 6 years later, we he didn't knew at the time that this skill of knowing how to work with non-dev teams will be actually like the philosopher's stone of why we have been like growing as we did. No, so they started working with a really good design teams here in Spain. One of those studios was Mendes Aldaren, and Mendes Aldaren is the first studio that was part of Modular. It's Mendes Aldaren is now for example, to provide you a couple of examples, they are the ones behind the website of Sarah, like all of this design and strategy of this web. There are more than 60 designers that are working with some kind of top European companies. So at the beginning of 2024, Taylor and them were working that much together that they said, okay, we need to work together more and do it official. No, they were kind of dating, like making smiles to each other. But Modular is a holding that like a group of studios that want to grow, but keeping the essence of each of those studios alive. No, so we will have Mendes Aldaren, which is in charge of all of the digital design and product design strategy. We will have Tailor, that we are like development team and AI team. We have No Code Hackers, which is an educational online school very focused in no code technologies. We have Minimum Run, which is like the marketing and growth company inside the holding. And at least the last one to arrive and born has been Mito. This is really recent. And Mito is an AI video studio, and that is like making a lot of noise. They are making a lot of really nice projects, and as you know, the models are getting stronger, and we are finding that very important like audiovisual studios are taking AI into their traditional processes. So these are the five foots of the studio.
Yeah, that final one is super interesting because I saw I don't know when it was. I think when Google had their last conference and they released their video AI model, and it was like mind blowing. The models can already put someone speaking and make the lips move at the sound of the speaking. It's amazing.
Yeah. But the interesting thing with Mito, with this company, is that Arancha, who is the lead, he has a strong background in video, no? Before we were talking about writing, for example, with AI. Since my background is writing, like traditional writing, I always find that, yeah, I'm very capable to have a criteria about what is well written and what is just whack ChatGPT text, you know? So she was telling us at the beginning of when they started pitching the project and what they want to try. Like she has a really strong video editing background and artistic background, you know. So that's the way I could take the best video model of the world, and I wouldn't be able to create anything great. I would say. I think this is exactly what is happening with AI in each of the professional industries you have to put it in. No, that you need to have really criteria like to be great, and if you don't have this criteria, the work is not gonna be great.
Yeah, I think it circles back to what we talked about as one of the worst analogies of AI as the great replacement that is going to replace everyone because anyone now has access to it, when instead it's kind of a great accelerator for the people that really know what they are doing to just get it better, faster. And that's why I don't really believe that it will ever take over software engineering or any of the things that everyone tries to hype that is going to replace.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of examples in the past outside AI to realize that this is the truth. Like, for example, I always, my girlfriend is a UX designer. And when, for example, like tools like Canva started growing, yeah, Canva is a really, really, really good tool. But its core user is not a designer. It's more like okay, I am maybe a little restaurant owner and I don't have the time or the money to hire a proper graphic designer. So I'm going to build a menu with it and it's okay. So that's what in software engineering now you could do maybe with Lovable, where you can build, I don't know, a landing or a digital menu easily. But now, if you are talking about taking over a legacy software or making complex integrations, I don't know if AI will ever be able to have this criteria. I think this is the most important word right now. Like to have the knowledge and the responsibility and accountability to take over these complex projects. But also, if I was ever be a CEO, it's like in planes, no? Maybe I could convince you that a plane can have an automated flight, but I wouldn't ever want to be in a plane that hasn't a pilot that is risking its own life, no, flying me to Lisbon or wherever I will.
Exactly. It's exactly the same thing that we see with the self driving cars, right? It gives me the EBGBs that I don't want to be there by itself, just relying on a piece of machinery. And as you guys do most of the work in kind of nearshoring and also consultancy with Tailor Hub, one of the questions that I have, because I love to talk with this about with other consultants and companies providing these type of services, what are some of the misconceptions that you feel that other people and other companies have about the world of nearshoring and consultancy?
So I would say really that there are a lot of misconceptions. Some of them I think relates with which kind of companies take over projects because there are a lot of ways to work with an external company. And one of the ways is to outsource everything, you know, like, yeah, take over this project. Yeah, I will see you in a year. And if you don't deliver the product, okay, you are out. But I think this is one of the misconceptions, no, that you would lost like the strategic side of it, or you would lost control of a technology. We always use the word like co-pilot. Our ending goal is to, yeah, to solve you a very complex project, and hopefully you will find out that you want to work more with us, no. But maybe if that one shot, that first project is the only thing you want to build with us, okay, we want you to remember that 3 years ago, a small team of Spain solved you this project, no? But I think one of the misconceptions comes because there has been a lot of projects where external development teams has focused more maybe in the creating dependencies, so they would have lost the project. And we need to own this thing. This is not like Taylor's fault, but this is a thing that has been happening and that has been creating a lot of frustrations in non-dev teams, no, to not be in control of what was happening with technology, no. So I think nearshoring is a very niche word that a lot of companies don't really know that this is even an option, no? Because if you outsource something, it must be to India or these like more classical outsourcing spots, no? But the first one is fine for me, the most important one.
Yeah, I think that one touches on the point that a lot of misconceptions go about just dropping a project and letting another company go wild, and you never see that company again. And you have had such a great career starting in traditional media, now entering IT as a head of communication. I'm curious, what advices would you give to your younger self, if you would give any? What would that be?
I would say that keep opening doors, even if you don't know what is in the other side of it. This is maybe like the strongest advice I could give to anyone in any industry, or of course to my own younger self, no, because I think it's related with what we were talking about Gen I. Like fear paralyzed a lot of good stuff. And the worst thing that could happen when you open a door, if it is a cliff and you fell, okay, you're gonna learn that yeah, sometimes there are cliffs or there are bad people, but most frequently I found out that there are always good things about the unknown, and the learning is in this, no, in opening doors.
That's a great advice. Like, keep opening the doors, and most often than not, good things will spill out for that. And I think that's a great way for us to end the podcast with such a high note. If people want to know more about you, if they want to reach out, if they want to find more about Tailor Hub and Modular, where is the best place for them to go and search?
Yeah, so I think the easier way for them will be just to write me. And if your, I don't know, your interest has to do with development, yeah, I'm the guy to talk with. But if maybe if it has to do with Mito, these AI video solutions, I would connect you with the right people, which are Arancha and Dani Saltaren. And if your interest has to do with product design, I will send you to in the proper directions. But each of the studios has its own LinkedIn profile, Tailor Hub, Mendes Saltaren, I will give you all of them in order to the people to know who are we and what are we doing.
Super. I'll make sure to add all of them to the show notes, and then everyone that is interested can browse a bit into the description of the podcast and find all the links there. Adrian, again, thank you so much and for coming and having this chat with me.
Thank you so much, Rui, and hope that we could have another chat soon.
Indeed. Let's schedule another one soon. And to everyone still listening out there, keep your comms clear and see you again away from the keyboards.